Broker Daily Uncut.
Broker Daily Uncut.
News, views and opinion about what's shaping Australia's mortgage and finance industry.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Broker Daily Uncut. Your host Jack Campbell joining you another Monday recording. The team's all back together. Phil Tarrant, Alex Whitlock. Gentlemen, how you doing? It was a nice and warm weekend, something different than we've had from the winter weather, and things are looking up now. It's getting into spring and the weather's turning, and I think everyone's a little bit happier for it. You guys get out and enjoy the sunshine over the weekend?
Yeah, went down to caught up with my daughter Liz down in Surrey Hills. Got out and about. I've also got a property that's had its first open day. I'm selling a place down south of sort of down in Sutherland, and there were 36 groups went through that. I got a call from the agent. He was pretty pleased with the level of participation and looking around. I think with the warm weather, certainly here in New South Wales, but you're looking at a very, very, very favourable property market if you're selling. And you know what? I think there's still some good buying opportunities as well. It's not quite that sizzling hot seller's market yet, but it's certainly, things are happening.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were talking about it last week that the spring selling season, some are saying it's going to be the busiest ever with all the rates coming down and, the seller's market and people scrambling to get into the market. We have the government incentives that are coming through as well. So a popular time. Phil, are you getting around to any auctions this spring?
I don't really go to a lot of auctions these days. If I am buying, I typically get someone to do it for me by way of a buyer's agent. But I'll be in the market soon. I've been out for a little while and just waiting in the wings until I can get things sorted out. My mortgage broker at the moment is going through the arduous process of trying to sort my finances out for coming forward. I'm doing a big refi at the moment. And
well, I can help you. You can buy my place if you want to.
I don't really want to buy in Sutherland.
Mate, it's going to be a highly inflated price.
It would be.
But a great investment for a bloke like you.
It would be.
I can even probably, help push things along with your broker.
You think so?
Oh, well, I could try.
Well, you can talk about them on Broker Daily. But, thankfully I've got a good broker who can who's on the sort of more sophisticated side when it comes to finding investment finance. So I'll be out doing stuff a little bit later this year, I think.
Did you end up selling that Mount Druitt property?
I did.
How'd it go?
We sold it. Let me remember. We got a contract on it. It was supposed to settle, and they pulled out. And then we relisted it and got another $5,000 for it, I think. So I think we're winners at the end. And I think we kept the $800 0.25% deposit from the first person that pulled out. So a couple of slabs of beer for the crew. That's sorted out with that. But sold it. Right thing to do at the right time.
Interestingly, I was just going through looking at emails over the weekend and saw I read the regular emails sent by Agile. So they have a lot of their sort of core findings across a lot of their different research. But interestingly, they've noted in their latest email that investment housing lending is overtaking owner-occupied lending. Which is, it's quite interesting. It looks like, investors have got a spring in their step once again. And I think, the promise of a bull run over probably a number of years for, in terms of capital growth, because once you've got heat in terms of buying, it's going to push prices up. And then with all the other various incentives around supporting first-home buyers, the increased incentive for them, getting them into the market, which I think kicks off, is it October, Phil, or is it November? I can't remember.
1 October.
Yeah. So, obviously investors are starting to eye up their options again.
Yeah, definitely. And that's usually how it goes, right? When a market shifts, it's the investors that jump on first and then sort of followed by the first home buyers. But, even looking at people who are first home buyers, a lot of them aren't going to be owner-occupiers, myself included. I'm thinking about buying, but it's not going to be to live in. It'll be an investment property. And I'm thinking maybe, down, as you guys were saying, Melbourne and Ballarat, thinking down that way. So, not everyone that's getting into the market is jumping into being an owner-occupier.
It's a real challenge for for first-time buyers to decide whether they take advantage of, sort of government incentives and buy. But then you're obviously going to buy where you're located, right? And particularly if you're unlucky or lucky enough, depending on how you want to look at it, to live in and around one of the capital cities, there's obviously a lot more heat on those markets for the type of properties that first-time buyers can afford. But if you do decide to forego the incentives as a first-time buyer, what it does is open up potentially bigger growth markets, and you're sort of kicking the can down the road potentially for your own home ownership, but you can potentially get larger sort of capital appreciation in what you're buying, and also take some strain off, in terms of if you look to buy, if you're looking to buy in Sydney, you're going to struggle to get anything for less than sort of 600 grand, in terms of an apartment, a one-bedder apartment, I'd imagine, Phil. I don't know how close you are to the data. And, if you're getting a two-bedroom apartment, you're going to be closer to the 800,000-900,000 mark.
Depends where you're buying.
Yeah.
You can still, back to that.
Well, that Mount Druitt, yeah.
You can still buy apartments in Sydney for 300 grand, right?
Yeah, true.
Might not necessarily be living close to the city, but there's certainly plenty of properties like that out there.
Yeah, back to the Mount Druitt place, I was pretty staggered, sort of how affordable they still are. I mean, I remember when we bought into that market, sort of 190 grand, I think, was one of the places, and sort of a couple of $100 grand the other one. Yeah. But they haven't gone up a huge amount.
Not a huge amount. And again, they haven't performed as well as freestanding houses in that area.
Yeah.
You've got sort of Mount Druitt, or you think St Mary's or North St Mary's. Some of those properties in and around St Mary's, North St Mary's, they've gone off the charts.
I can remember walking away from some when we went to auction in St Mary's back in probably 2011, something like that, 2012 maybe, and walking away from 3-bedroom houses on a 600 square metre block reaching $218,000 and going, no, that's too much.
Yeah. Yeah, now they'd be sort of close to $1 million, those.
Well, it's only going to go up, isn't it? Because they got the airport going in, they got the metro line going out there at St Mary's.
Yeah, St Mary's, North St Mary's that'll be a real hub moving forward, and right for absolute gentrification. It'd be very different out there in 5 years' time than what it is right now. It's it's still a good place to live now. We did well. We had a place in North St Mary's that we sold probably 3 years ago, and we did very well out of it. Probably tripled in value, I think, over the time that we had it.
Wish we'd hung on to it now.
Should have.
Never sell.
Anyway,
it's turned to an SPI podcast. What happens when you got Phil Tarrant on the show? We made a decision, Jack, we decided it's time for Phil to move on to pastures new.
We have. We'll get straight into that, and exciting announcements to come for Broker Daily Uncut. We'll just throw to a quick break, though. We'll be back after this. And we're back with Broker Daily Uncut, and left on a bit of a cliffhanger there because we've got a bit of a shake-up coming to Broker Daily Uncut. Phil, you're no longer going to be joining us. You're going to be jumping over to another brand. Is that right?
Maybe. Well, I've done my job. Before I joined this podcast, it was sitting around a couple of hundred downloads a month. Now it's well into its multiple thousands. So job done. It's time for me to move on.
Are we going to stay up with the couple thousand mark without you?
You guys are actually doing really well. It's like many, many, many thousands of people tuning in. You see on downloads on the reports that come through every month for Broker Daily. So something that you guys have been doing have been resonating, and I think with what you guys got planned and some new talent coming to the studio, I think it'll be a lot more connected with maybe the mechanical bits of mortgage broking that sometimes we're not able to discuss or goes often overlooked.
I think the network is looking good because Jack's has his finance specialist, which is very popular. I'm very privileged to have Jason back catch up with me for Business Accelerator. So I think a broader offering of content for our very loyal listeners is proven very popular. I think for Broker Daily Uncut, I think the opportunity for us to include a broker on this podcast, just to kind of get us a little bit closer to the coalface. Jack's journo, works full time Broker Daily, but is still a journo, and has only been on for sort of, I don't know, is it 18 months now, Jack? Is it getting to 2 years?
Not even, just over a year.
There you go. See, so still learning the trade. I have been in and around mortgage broking for a long time, but I'm not at the coalface anymore. So I think we're going to look to bring a broker into the podcast. We've had a chat with Eva from Finney Mortgages. So I think from next week we'll have Eva joining us. Keep us on the straight and narrow, Jack.
Yeah, I'm excited because a lot of the stuff we dive into, we don't have that expert knowledge that comes with working in the profession every day. there's only, we keep our ear to the ground with what's going on in and around the industry, but at the end of the day, we're not brokers. So I think having that perspective will be really beneficial just for some of the stuff we unpack. And yeah, really excited to kick it off from next week. So Eva's helped out. You might recognize her face and her name from some of the articles that we do on Broker Daily. She's always a very valuable asset to have for when we need to lean on a broker for information. So excited to get her on every week, starting from Monday.
She's got good credentials. These guys, they run an average of, I don't know, sort of 65 mil a year, sort of smallish team of brokers. They've got four brokers, including Eva, who's the principal. So they're highly productive, high volume brokers. They do specialise in the investor sector, but obviously, as with a growing client base, there's all sorts of different needs they cater for. So her insights, will certainly be valuable. Eva's been, she was a lawyer originally, trained as back in her native country of France. So, but she's, moved into, she's been in mortgage broking here for many, many years. So yeah, no, it'd be good to catch up with Eva. She'll bring a different view to the marketplace and keep us informed, Jack. Yeah,
definitely. So that'll be from next Monday. Excited to kick that off. And unfortunately, our last episode for the moment with Phil, but it's been a pleasure.
He may return. You never know. You can't keep him away.
I'm sure we'll get you.
If you want someone with ill-informed views and opinions, you can dust me off whenever you need when you need any of that, or if you're desperate for a guest, or always happy to give insights, despite the fact that I often don't know what I'm talking about.
That's part of the fun, though. We get through it, and obviously it's resonating with the views going up. But excited to bring this next phase of Broker Daily Uncut to everyone from next Monday. We'll just throw to another quick break, though, and we'll be back into more content just after this. And we're back with Broker Daily Uncut. And speaking of exciting announcements, we've only got a couple of weeks till the Melbourne Broker Innovation Summit. So part 2, the Sydney one, was very successful, and we decided to bring it down to Melbourne. And we have a few different speakers coming on board from the Sydney one, so it'll switch it up a little bit. You guys coming down for that one? Will I see you there?
I'm not sure yet. I'll have to see. I wouldn't mind going down. I thought the Sydney Broker Innovation was absolutely superb. Who have you got lined up? What changes are there in the speakers for this one?
So we had last time Todd Duncan come over from the US, and he was sort of running the show. But now we have Dan Siegler, who was the former head of real estate at Google. So pretty big grab. He's very well known in the industry. So very excited to have him on board. And then Adam Franklin, who specializes in agentic AI and how that's changing the industry. It's obviously kind of a new buzzword, I suppose, agentic AI, sort of an evolution of AI. So excited to get into that. I think it'll be a big day. It'll be a good day.
Everyone is trying to get their head around agentic AI in general. And by get your head around, I mean, I think most people have worked out how to use it at a fairly base level. I think the issue is it going to change things radically for brokers and indeed for everyone? I'm kind of on the fence a little bit around AI. I found my particular beat and I found my own sort of cadence in terms of how I use it, for the media business. And I find it very, very useful. Has it revolutionised and changed what I do? No, not yet. Has it allowed me to save time and do things a little bit more efficiently? Absolutely. So I'd be very, very interested to see Adam's take on the opportunities out there. I'm sure everyone tuning in, I'm sure there's many people tuning in who are very, very switched on, certainly far more so than I am, that will have their own ideas. But I think there's a lot of curiosity about what the future looks like using AI.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot of confusion as well. Brokers I talk to are using AI, but are unsure if they're using it correctly or using it to its full potential. And I think you need a day like that to hear from an expert just for a bit of confirmation for themselves, because, it's largely unknown. It's only been in and around the industry for how long? A few years now, but it's come such a long way in such a quick time. And I think brokers just want to know if they're using it correctly, if they're using it to its full potential. And I think that's why it's important to hear from people like Dan. So I'm excited for that session. It should be good.
And this is it, like any tool, and it is a tool, it's a question of how well you understand the use of it. You can go back as far as you want. You can get incredible machinery that does incredible things. If you don't know how to operate it, it's pretty useless, and you end up spending more time trying to figure things out than actually getting productivity. So it is, it is a watershed moment for the world, but the world is getting to grips with how to use AI. Phil, you've been on this for a long time within our business. What's your practical take on AI, and how do you see its application?
Well, philosophically, you need to see it as a tool and something you want to be a good craftsman using it. You think about a carpenter or a mechanic or whatever, they'll have a specific tool for doing a specific job. I think AI is very similar. It's just going to give you advantages in terms of speed and agility and also innovation. So I have a very comfortable relationship with AI. I have done since it really sort of hit the scenes sort of 3 years ago. We've been pretty early. I developed an AI doctrine for using it for content very early on. We've got bespoke tools that we've had for a couple of years now in and around our editorial team. But the thing with AI is that it goes through peaks and starts, and I see it like a daisy chain. It's like an upwards daisy chain where it's like this rapid advancement and then it just normalizes, and a rapid advancement again, it normalizes. And it feels as though we've just gone through 2 months of hyper-focus activity on AI, but it feels as though we're back in this daisy chain sort of area where it's just normalizing again before it gets another uptick, and then it's going to get another uptick. So that's how it will continue moving forward. Me personally, I try and use it whenever I can, but most of my work these days is largely talking. It's either in meetings or out and about doing stuff, and even office-based work. I'm not a great manufacturer of written information anymore, or information I need to sort of coordinate. But where I can use it, I'll use it as much as possible.
My job requires me to I do still produce a lot of content, and AI's, 9 times out of 10, if I instruct it the right way, it gives me advantages. But there's 1 in 10 times where I will create some content. So I don't go, write me an article, thanks very much. Yeah. There you go. I'll craft and shape, same as I would do writing an article the old-fashioned way. I'll come up with my key points. I'll create a base structure of the article, and I'll punch it through AI and see what comes out. And it's very, very good if you instruct it to shape the piece of content that you want the right way. It's pretty good at doing that. But every now and again, it will completely stuff it up.
Yeah, and that's why you need the human element to check and engage it. But what I'm seeing is, what we do in relation to news-based journalism, there's a huge need, and there's going to be a huge thrust moving forward for the immediacy of information that you can create. Like AI is great for manufacturing things subsequent to it happening. And I see it on Broker Daily. I see it all over our other brands. The immediacy of our news-based journalism, giving information which is unique and credible and has authority moving forward. I think you're going to see a huge thrust and flight to it. And I'm already seeing it now in terms of our a lot of our advertisers on Broker Daily and our other brands. Just how prevalent their AI searches are, drawing into the authority of our brands, and that's something you're going to see moving forward considerably. And
this is one of the, I'm increasingly looking at what the AI, when I'm researching something, will always look to see how it's interpreted by the AI tool, usually Google's, and see what sort of search criteria you put in, and how well the AI search mechanism finds what you're looking for. And I think in terms of promoting businesses, the old way of promoting businesses and appealing to, search engines, which are by no means outdated, but are increasingly getting replaced. More and more and more people are trusting the AI sort of search sort of function, having businesses that come up increasingly well in that type of searchable mechanism is very, very, it's just interesting. And I constantly look and see how anything from our brands, how well they come up, finding out what AI thinks to be market-leading products or services. It has an opinion. So, and it's all how well those particular brands are indexed, and also reflected sort of, in sort of 360 degrees around them. If something is well regarded, it comes up well in the AI search.
And this will be language that everyone needs to be conditioned around now is the authority of the AI search. So, trusted outlets that have been creating information for industry sectors for years and years and years have great authority, and they're the ones which are and will continue to be what the AI algorithms really draw in. So, stuff like Broker Daily, and whether it's the narratives we have on a podcast like this or the journalism that we invest a lot of money into creating, that's where brands are going to want to be connected with, and that's where long term the value of relationships will be driven, because that authority voice through platforms like Broker Daily or even Advisor or any of our other brands is what will be driving the AI algorithms moving forward. So it's a brave new world, but it's something that we've really been focusing on for 3 years, and I'm very comfortable in our direction in terms of harnessing and embracing AI. But it's one of those things it's never going to be complete. It's a constant evolution, and you need to be nimble.
If you want to stay abreast of what's happening in the mortgage broking, mortgage lending industry, I would really strongly recommend getting down to Broker Innovation.
Yeah, it's on the 23rd of September?
Yeah, 23rd of September at The Edge in Melbourne.
Yep.
So
Federation Square, nice and easy. Right opposite the pub there where we spent a lot of time for the Lines tour.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, right.
2 for the price of 1.
Two for the price of 1. Get over there.
Make sure you don't get stuck at the Innovation Summit and don't find time to go to the pub.
I know this.
I don't mean the other way around. I can't remember.
I think brokers know that all too well. They love going to the pub before and after events. So I'm sure we'll see a few faces there. But that's just over 2 weeks away. So 15 days, 23rd of September. Visit Broker Innovation Summit. There's a website up there where you can get your tickets now. But once again, thanks for joining us for another episode. We'll be back next week with a bit of a shift of gears. But in the meantime, Phil, thank you for joining us on the podcast for the last year or so since we've kicked it off. And
welcome.
Yeah, we'll hopefully get you on again soon.
Mate, always free and available if you need a voice of reason and sensibility in mortgage broking.
And thanks to everyone else listening to this episode. If you want to visit more content, visit brokerdaily.au. If you want to reach me directly, that's editor@brokerdaily.au. Thanks for listening.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.